Welcome back, folks, to World of Warships Legends. I'm Soopa-Dave, and today we are back again on the gunboat line of Japanese destroyers. Now, this is a very interesting turn in the rest of the line. This Tier 7 Akizuki and the Kitakaze play very similar, so you hear some similar things about them. But first off, I'm going to say some issues with this ship, and they're not saying this is a bad ship. It's 100% not a bad ship. It just took me a lot longer to get used to the ship than it normally does. The one big thing that I noticed that I don't think many people are probably realize about this ship, it's freaking long. Alright? It's real long. It's basically a light cruiser. So when we look here, you can see this is versus Kagero. Look how much that camera zooms in for the Kagero. And Kagero is not a a small boat either. And you can see how much bigger Akizuki is. Why is that a problem? Two things. Uh, Tier 7 is where you start to see a lot of the secondary ships, right? And secondaries auto aim at the water line. Well, normally all of them secondaries that would generally be just coming in right behind you is in a torpedo boat hit the back end of this one like crazy with that extra link. That's one thing I actually noticed right away. And also people that are using auto aim. So sometimes I use it to help me start my spot, but I always adjust from the auto. But people that are using straight auto aim in this ship are actually going to hit you a lot. Instead of being just behind you, they're going to hit you a lot. And part of that is speed, which we'll talk about later as well. But it's not a bad ship. I want to be clear. It just took me a while to get used to it, and the same concerns I have playing it, or stuff I learned playing it, I'm going to pass along to you, so you can learn how to play it however you would like. This is the way I play. So, the commander is Razu Tanaka. And I will say, I tried different commanders, even built 100% into guns on this ship. And that was a mistake. The guns, they're not bad. That wasn't the mistake. It just was when you're up against Frieslands and Summers and just everything out, Loyal Langs at this tier. Um, it can be really, really, really tough. And if you get spotted with how long this ship is, if you get spotted first, like I was when I was running all gun skill traits and not detection, you just get slaughtered. Especially me, I don't play in divisions, so I got to be careful about what support I have. And when I seen the stats originally on this, the guns reload quick, it's got a lot more health. I was like, I'm going full gunboat mode, and I'm gonna be aggressive. And that was a not a deal situation. You kind of want to play it like the other part of the line in some scenarios. So we're using double detection. I know that's up to you. And by this point, Sims is becoming a very effective at this tier to gain some health. So that's up to you what you want to do. Some people like double detection. Some people absolutely hate it. Some people will use it and then complain about it. I don't know. It's crazy with that stuff. But anyway, here, guys, our skills we're running. Contact is imminent. Look at me now. Perceptive and smoke on the water with unstoppable. And I highly recommend unstoppable with this line because when you do get hit, it seems like they get not engines knocked out like crazy. For for your upgrades here, first your mods, you're gonna have the turret traverse to help the guns turn quick, propulsion mod to get you going, concealment obviously is always on every ship on basically for me on concealment or on the third slot, and on the fourth slot I did try the torpedo reload. The torpedoes are very ineffective, so I went with the gun reload, a main battery reload on this, and I'm much happier with that. Like I said, did build into guns fully. Then I completely went the other way and tried for the torpedoes, didn't like it, and so now it's kind of a little bit of both. On this one, you definitely want the hull upgrade. It does give you extra AA and health, and then your range increase, and then the torpedo upgrade here. So for your consumables, you have two smokes. So last time, that's why I brought this up, is on this tier. On the torpedo boats, you pick between the torpedo reloads or the smokes, and I like the smokes better at this tier. On this one, you get both, and do not get overly excited because this thing only has 4 torpedoes. So getting 8 extra torpedoes in a match really isn't as beneficial as it sounds. But anyway, survivability. You can see from the last tier to now, the health has almost doubled with the same essentially build. I've tried a lot of builds on this gunboat thing, and it ends up coming back to the same thing for me in my playstyle. But anyway, 20,000 is pretty good. It's actually not bad for health. It's obviously not as high as some of them, but that is what it is. The guns, however, a very interesting set of guns. You do get 8 of them, but they're only 100 millimeters, which means they're just under 4. They're like 3.9 inches, so basically 4-inch guns, right? That is tiny, and I can tell you, you want to switch between the AP and HE when you get the chance. Generally, if something's broadside or you want to do more damage, for the most part, you want to use your AP if you can. If you want to start fires, use the HE because putting 8 rounds out every 2.5 seconds, fire chance of 5% doesn't sound like that much, but you can, and I have in this ship started a lot of fires before. You'll see it go the other way too, though, where you don't get very many fires. So keep that in mind when you're playing. Torpedoes, you have 4 of them. Now they hit hard, but you don't get to. They reload every about 2 minutes. You only get 4 of them every 2 minutes. So torpedoes, not while they're good on this ship, you don't get enough of them to be effective. AA with the upgrade that you do get to the ship ends up being not the worst AA in the world, which is handy because let me check my notes here. I think it was out of my last 30 matches that I played in this, 21 of them had a carrier. So I don't know what the was with the matchmaking. This tier 8 had the same issue. Just a lot of carrier matches, just like tier 6. I don't know why. Also, you're almost always up against 3 or more destroyers in these ships. I don't know why, but that's the way it is. I've been kind of getting into matchmaking. Maneuverability. This is a massive downside to this ship, and I feel like not something you would expect or nor people recognize. This ship is really freaking slow, and it does not like to turn. Sure, it's got an okay rudder, but that turning circle, I mean, we're talking about battleships with the same turning circle as this thing. Not ideal. It really can hurt you. But the concealment, on the other hand, is pretty good for this line. In fact, I think this is the highest the line gets to this point, or the lowest, I mean, the best detectability you can get. And for armor, it's a destroyer. It don't have much. You would hope that it have a lot of armor, but it like I said, it's a destroyer. You don't want to take unnecessary hits if you don't need to. As we go ahead and start this match and check who we're up against, I do want to say it is disclaimer time. This is a beginner's guide to help out people just learning this ship or learning the game in general. This is not for professional gamers that know everything there is to know about everything. There is also multiple ways to build and play ships, so opinions will vary. I am just a above average player. I don't claim to be the best player in the world. I just am a pretty darn good player. So I do make mistakes. You're going to see some in this match. And also, you didn't come to this video to see how to pronounce names, as I am very terrible at slaughtering other beautiful languages. It's almost an art form, so keep that in mind when you're watching this, guys. As we get into the match, you can see a quick screenshot of here of me losing with 6 kills not too long before this match that we're going to see here, but I figured I'd show that just to make you laugh. You get high caliber and 6 kills, and you still lose. But anyway, matchmaking's been rough in this ship, and I don't want people to think that I don't like this ship. I do, and it's a very fun ship to play. It's one of my favorite destroyers to play. It's just tough. If for me, once I get back into it now, and I did just recently unlock this line, so it takes a minute in playstyle to get back into it because you're going to be switching your rounds a lot. You're going to be, you'll be playing a little different. You're going to try to not get spotted early in a gunfight if you can, and that really does help quite a bit. So over here, you notice there's a ton of secondary ships in here. I believe there's 3 or 4 of them. I didn't remember by looking, but I know there's a lot. So I'm being a little careful. I'm definitely trying to spot for my team, but at the same time, if you get spotted in secondaries, light up. You gotta be careful, especially in this ship. More this ship than any other destroyer I've ever played. And sure enough, there's the Massachusetts and the JG Merker, which, by the way, is an amazing ship in itself, and it has a ton of health. That is, I believe, the most health at the tier, but you can see here, we start off with HE, and we're going to test it. You can see I'm trying to get adjusted to the aim here a little bit. We get 6 full pens for 1100, and that's the issue, is these guns you put a lot of shells down range, but even with HE full pens, you're not doing a lot of damage, so you're going to want to use AP, as we do get a flood or we do hit something over there. I don't know what it was, but, put out them torpedoes there because everybody likes to sit around that corner. Here you can see, when I started firing, the Massachusetts had full health. Why am I bringing that up? Because on this salvo here, you can see I get real unlucky. That's what? 20... Oh, wait, there we go. 27 shells and no fire. It happens. It's not the world's best fire chance, but you see I switched to AP on this JG Marker, and once I get my terrible aim locked in, you see we're going to do quite a bit of damage to him all of a sudden. All of a sudden we switched to AP, and now we're over 20,000 right away, and we've took a ton of health off this JG, which is a very good ship. Now, not sure what his game plan was, but everybody has their own style, and this JG did not have the world's best game, obviously. Also, we have, and that's one other thing I mentioned, you're always up. It seems like in matchmaking, it puts this destroyer in with a lot of destroyers. Whereas in torpedo boats, sometimes you get them games where it's just you in a torpedo boat, or you're against other torpedo boats. The matchmaking on this can be real rough. As you can see, we're against a JG, one of the best destroyers at the level, and tried to hold our own. Now, obviously, we do kill this guy, and I was real careful about getting spotted here. Obviously, we're out of distance of Massachusetts secondaries. If he's a secondary build, I haven't been able to see yet to know. But anyway, at this point, we are going to work in here a little bit. We're careful about the torpedoes that do come. And then you can see very quickly, our team has done a good job of getting rid of their destroyers. But this is going to actually, in my opinion, showcase this ship much better. You can see I did get rid of a destroyer, but I was very making sure I had the advantage when I got rid of him. He didn't even get a chance to hit me because I out-detected him, obviously, by quite a bit on that last shot, so I was able to finish him without him even being able to know I was there, basically. And I did, when he got spotted because of poor detectability and shooting his guns off, I was able to smoke up and just light him up. So, with the help of a destroyer as well. So, right here you can see I'm being real careful. And I'm not shooting my guns because the last thing I want to do, two battleships, one's a secondary battleship right here. I could die real quickly at two American secondaries. So we hit our torp reload, and we're going to go ahead and put torps. This Massachusetts, like most secondary ships, are going to drive in a straight line. However, our battleship is going to decide, the Lenin there is going to decide to go ahead and brawl up close and personal and take the ramming method, which if you see in a minute, he didn't need to do because these torpedoes were 100% online and they were going to absolutely dev strike this Massachusetts, but they go ahead and ram, so we lose a teammate there. It happens, you know, but me personally, I don't like to trade ships very often, but you know, it's not the world's worst thing, I guess, if your teammate trades a ship. But anyway, you're going to see we're going to go ahead, smoke up, and try to light up the Colorado, get them on fire here. As you see, we do go ahead and get one fire on him, and we're trying to get a second here. You can see we're putting a lot of shells downrange. You can see now I switched to AP. We got our second fire. And we are just working on lighting them up. And you can see the AP actually, if you aim into the superstructure like I'm doing, or the, you know, like the very upper part of the ship, not the belt one, you can do a significant amount of damage with this ship. You know, it doesn't have bad DPM. And you see the King George here. Now this is a better example. As you can see, I'm adjusting my aim here. And you see we just absolutely shred the superstructure on that King George, which is pretty cool. But we have some team help over here, and I wanted to get the cap earlier, but it was really hard with how aggressive the enemy team was. Like you saw, what was it, 3 or 4 ships just basically come straight in and beeline. Now this is where I get a little nervous because King George is starting to come near me. We only have 30 seconds left of smoke, so we're not going to be able to finish them off. And you can see we're starting to bounce some shells there. But, I mean, we're still getting some pins. Honestly, could have switched to HE over there to try to start a fire at the time being. But our teammate is actually going to stay real close to him in the smoke, which I would prefer not to do. And we're going to go ahead and we're going right behind the mountain. So we're going to go back to lighting them up again. You can see we're bouncing some shells, but we're still getting some full pins, so it's still worth it. But honestly, HE would be okay there to get fires going. And we're going to go ahead and move up and try to get the captain now. So kind of a real interesting match of being cautious and always making sure you have the advantage, especially on that JG. You want to make sure when you're in this ship, you know, as always in any destroyer, in my opinion, but you want to make sure you have the advantage when you're engaging other destroyers. I talk about it all the time, but it's super important. You know, even if you're a good destroyer player and aggressive and you get in a fight on their side or where their team has more support, doesn't matter how good you are when you're going to get absolutely wrecked by 5 people shooting you because you're in bad position. Or even if you are a good player and you run across another good destroyer and it's just an even battle, even if you win, you're probably not going to have much health left. So you got to be careful, and you want to be able to help your team. And our team, for the most part, this was a pretty good battle. As you can see, obviously we have 3 destroyers left, so it's not a good battle now. But it was a war for everybody in this match. You know, it was pretty close for a while. But you can see the last 2 things are Atlanticos. And you're going to see why. This is part of the reason I showcase this match, is we're going to make sure we get the cap, just to make sure we don't do something, you know. I've seen 4 ships lose to 2 before. You want to make sure you're going to win. So, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to show you guys how I was, you know, I don't have no smokes left. I will say I'm trying to let my teammate know, hey, if you spot for me, I'll shoot over the mountain at him. I don't think he understood that, but that's okay because we'll spot. I think he does figure it out eventually. We do end up kind of spotting for each other here, on these two Atlanticos. But first things first, he's going to move up. I think he figured it out actually now at this point. Hey, I'm going to spot. But you're going to see here that Atlantico is pretty far away. So I'm going to start to actually move up and try to, you know, I have torps ready. So I'm going to try to move up and get torps ready here. But like I said, this ship has some downsides, but doesn't make it a bad ship. You can see it's not very quick. It does not turn well. In my opinion, in some ways, this is kind of like an ultralight cruiser with really good detection. But anyway, you can see the Atlanticos right there. We're going to go ahead, because it's a secondary ship, we're going to put the torps right on the line. You've heard me say it before. And you're going to see, in fact, again, it's going to play out. And my other destroyer buddy, I believe that was a Z-31, who has himself a good match as well, does the same thing. And obviously his torps are making them there first, but, you know, we could have, it doesn't, that Atlantico wasn't making it very far, I can assure you of that. So instead of shooting my guns off here and getting wrecked, which some people would do, we're going to make sure we try to get rid of these battleships here. And 2 sets of secondaries aimed at you is not good. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to get ourselves in a position where to shoot over islands while teammates spot. There's 3 destroyers right now. You know, 3 destroyers and a battleship. So this is one thing I want to show you. Is even if you have smokes, if you get behind an island, we're spotted for a second here, but you can make it, you can still be super effective without having smokes if you get behind islands. Now this map is great for it, and I'm moving to the island section. You can see in front of me there's a lot of islands, and we're going to just light him up here, do our best to get fires, and you can see we have gotten fires in this match. But we put a lot of shells down range too. Now, granted, a significant part of that was AP, but you can see on that last salvo there, we only had 3 full pins and 16, I believe it was shatters. So you're either starting fires or trying to do damage, or on a secondary ship like this, you're trying to break secondaries, which that's one of my goals. That's why I used HE a little bit more in this match than I normally would have, because I think if you look back at, like in the beginning, I should have mentioned it, but we break I think a lot of secondaries on the Massachusetts as well. But anyway, you can see it. I'm not shooting when I'm in the wide open. We're shooting when we got island cover. And you can see, you know, just me and that other destroyer have whittled down. We took out the other Atlantico, and together we have done a significant damage to this Atlantico as well. So you kind of see the matches coming here to a close, but using island cover like this can really help. But like I said, with the guns, you got to switch HE to AP depending on what you're doing. We're going to get some more shells up, because you see I have, what, 300 targets hit? And these shells just don't do a lot of damage. Even with the AP, it does a lot better, but it takes a lot of shells to do it. So as we get another capture, I actually wasn't going for that capture. I was just trying to stay behind island cover, to be honest with you. We did end up getting a kind of a gimme capture there at the end. That's not what I was going for, though. But you can see he is not really wanting any part of this anymore, because he can't see anybody that's really shooting at him for the most part. We've that other destroyer teammate, I want to say really good job to him. He was good there at the end, me and him alternating who was spotting and who was shooting, because you can see he hasn't went dark this entire time. But anyway, that is going to be basically the end of the match as I check my detection, and we end up really helping out our team. We again get rid of a destroyer, we do get our cap, we win our side, and that's what's important. Winning your flank and getting rid of a destroyer while you're in a gunboat and coming away from it. I mean, look, we full health at the end of this match. You know, we didn't even get hit. till I think right about here we may get hit. Being dumb here at the end because he clearly can't kill us in 5 seconds. But anyway, you can see we were pretty effective in this match helping our team. And you can still gunboat without losing all your health. And that's one thing that you try to want to do in Akizuki. And that's why I wanted to showcase this. As you can see, me and the Z31 have a pretty good game. Almost 3,000 base. Help our team out and have fun. Anyway, you guys have a wonderful day. And we will see you next time, folks. Have a good one.